you want to control people's thoughts, begin by controlling their words. That's totalitarian thinking. It was once completely foreign to America. Not anymore. Increasingly, Americans are forced to use language against their will or even their conscience, or be prepared to suffer the consequences. And those consequences can be dire. Take, for example, the issue of transgenderism, the newest civil rights battle of our time. A decade ago, few people could even tell you what the word transgender meant. Today, expressing the wrong opinion on the issue can cost you your business or job or both. Consider recent state and local actions punishing those who decline to use an individual's pronouns of choice. In 2017, California Governor Jerry Brown signed legislation threatening jail time for healthcare professionals who willfully and repeatedly refuse to use a patient's preferred pronouns. Under guidelines issued in 2015 by New York City's Commission on Human Rights, employers, landlords, and business owners who intentionally use the wrong pronoun with transgender workers and tenants face potential fines of as much as $250,000. That's a steep price for saying he instead of she, or she instead of he, or even he or she instead of they. What about the vast majority of citizens who hold the biology-based view that chromosomes determine your sex, male or female? Or those who have a deep-seated religious conviction that sex is both biological and binary, God's purposeful creation? In December of 2018, Peter Vlaming was fired from his job as a French language teacher in a Virginia school district because he refused to refer to a transgender student by the student's preferred pronouns. Vlaming's Christian belief prevented him from bowing before the notion that the student who had been a she in his class the year before was now suddenly a he. Vlaming was willing to use the student's chosen new name, but he avoided using any pronouns when referring to the student. That wasn't good enough for the school district. They needed to hear him say the words. You don't have to be religious to believe that one person can never be a they. The Supreme Court has clearly decided that compelled speech is not free speech. In West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, the Supreme Court upheld the student's right to refuse to salute an American flag. Justice Robert Jackson wrote, "If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, religion, or other matters of opinion." And, Jackson went on to say, the state can't force people to say things they don't believe. But this is precisely what's happening. People are forced to refer to others as they or co or thon. Yes, those are now considered pronouns. What might otherwise be a courtesy now has criminal consequences.
And it's a bunch of crap. Okay? I've been giving these people the benefit of the doubt. But if I can clearly see that you were born a man or you were born a woman, it matters to me not what you think you are. It's your business if you want to portray yourself as a female or a male. If you want to present yourself that way, even when you're not, that's your business. By taking people that are accepting what they were born with and living that way, and forcing them to see something that you think you are. You know, you could be born a male and transition into what you think is a female all you want to, but you're still a male. You could take a white car and paint it black, but it was still a white car. People can't force other people to call something that is obviously a man in a dress she. You can't force that on people. If they want to, they can. I think respectfully, though, by calling them their new chosen name, that's a little more respectable. Like if I tell you I identify as a clock radio and I demand you set my alarm, you can't or don't have to do that. But making it a criminal offense to refuse to call a man in a dress she, that's where you're pushing your fucked up beliefs on us. I have no problem with people who choose to live alternate lifestyles and people who are gay or bisexual, but they're not going to force that onto me. A man in a dress is a man in a dress to me. I've been cordial here recently, in the last few years, and I will say she to a man in a dress. But when they come out with criminal consequences for people who refuse to, then that's wrong because, you refuse to acknowledge the fact that you were born a male. You refuse to acknowledge that. You can still deal with your homosexuality by just being a male that is gay. You don't accept what you were born with. So why do we have to accept what you think you are? We don't have to be rude about it. We can give you the benefit of the doubt. But there's criminal consequences for that bullshit. Criminal consequences because you didn't. A big burly Adam's apple having 5 o'clock shadow dude in a dress. You didn't call her she or they. It's your problem if you can't accept what you were born with. That is your issue to deal with, not mine. If you can't accept what you were born with, then you can change it. But don't expect me, because that's always, I know some transgender people. And I'll compliment them, and I'll call them by their first name, and I'll not push that issue. But to me, that's a man in a dress. That's a gay man in a dress. And that makes them happy to be that way. That's fine. I'm not calling you she. I'm not calling you her. Because my thinking is clear. I can see and know what it is. I can see. I know you're not a woman. You'll never be a woman. You'll be a man that wants to be a woman that tries to look like one to me. And that's not hate. There's no hate. The hate is coming from you guys' end when you put criminal consequences on people. I have no problem calling a transgender person by the name that they choose to have. I'm not playing this game.
In most contexts, I would have no problem addressing others in any manner they chose, and I'm sure most Americans feel the same. But the Constitution's protection of free speech neither begins nor ends with good manners. It extends all the way from rudeness to meekness, protecting those who hurl insults and those who would prefer to say nothing at all. If the state can compel the use of certain words, it can force those who differ into silence. It can force its citizens to parrot beliefs they do not hold. The Fairfax County School District in Virginia removed the phrase biological gender from its curriculum and replaced it with the phrase sex assigned at birth. This is how the left legislates away the concept of biological sex without ever having to make the argument, without ever having to convince anyone. They're trying to make sex assigned at birth as trivial and malleable as name assigned at birth, as if some doctor arbitrarily chose for you on the day you were born. To the extent that the transgender movement seeks to promote compassion for those who struggle with their biological sex, we should be grateful for it. To the extent that it seeks to use government power to regulate our perspectives, commanding that we ignore biology and common sense, we should resist it. This is no small issue. The Constitution guarantees freedom of speech so that political issues can be worked out in the public square. But the activist left doesn't want that conversation to occur. They want to force the adoption of their conclusions before the argument even begins. Compelled speech is the tactic they've chosen. It's unconstitutional, it's undemocratic, and it's wrong. If gender activists prevail, we may be left with a world we neither recognize nor like very much. We won't be able to communicate our displeasure. We will have lost the words.